here we're talking about, processes, like an EC2 instance. I think of that as just being like a process. Well, it can be granted a policy through what's called a role association. This is the third use case, and this is the super, super scary one, is where you have IAM policies that are being used in your compute infrastructure, which is internet facing, that themselves are over permissioned. This is like 70% of breaches that we see out there. They're not like a AWS user credentials being stolen. That happens, but a lot of times it is getting purchase inside the infrastructure and then using an overly permissive IAM policy that's associated with an EC2 instance or something to go steal data or stand up new compute infrastructure for crypto mining, cryptocurrency mining, or what have you.
So there's one question here from Samuel. Is that true for dev, that dev is dev, but in many environments, dev is prod?
All right, if your dev is prod, and by which I mean, now, there's the quips out there about how like, if I'm gonna make changes to my application, I'm gonna do it in prod. Sometimes you have to, right? But if you're concerned with security and you're concerned with permission boundaries and things like that, if you're concerned with not having all your data stolen, when it comes to IAM permissions and access and the policy stack and policy evaluation, don't make prod dev. Just don't do that. Now you can do stuff like run our tool Fugue against it, and it'll tell you if you're, overly permissive or whatever, overly privileged in your IAM grants and so on. But that's a little bit scary. So if you're, in other words, I would lose less sleep at night if we had a hot fix to put out. So we run a big, huge SaaS on AWS, mostly using like Lambda and those kinds of, oh, I see, I got you backwards. You're not saying prod is dev, you're saying dev are treated as prod. That's a mistake too, in my opinion. I think it's really important to have strong gating between dev and stage and prod. Okay, somebody said when dev is down, a whole department is twiddling their thumbs. Well, don't break the build. But if you don't have a little bit more liberal permissions in dev, what are you doing? You're going back to the security team and constantly asking for more and more and more in order to get your job done. So my own view is, yeah, don't break the build in dev. If you do, you better fix it. I think we all kind of live that way, right? So try hard not to break the build. You might want, what we do a lot of times, we have our own private dev environments, and then there's the integration dev environment, right? So break your own, but don't break the integration environment in dev. But it is okay to be very liberal in dev with permissions, is my view as a security practitioner and developer on the cloud. But lock it down in production.